The family dinner table buzzed with conversations about holiday plans when my sister's voice cut through the noise like a knife through butter. "Oh, come on, Claire," she said, rolling her eyes dramatically. "You're never going to get into the holiday spirit, are you? You're basically the family Grinch." Everyone laughed, including my parents and our brother Marcus. I forced a smile and reached for my water glass, trying to hide the sting of her words. My sister Lily had always been the holiday person in our family. She started decorating in early November, hosted elaborate cookie exchanges, and treated Christmas like it was her personal Olympics. Meanwhile, I'd always been practical about the holidays, keeping things simple and avoiding the chaos that came with excessive celebration. "I celebrate in my own way," I said quietly, but nobody seemed to hear me over their laughter. Lily continued, clearly enjoying the attention. "Every year, it's the same thing. No decorations, minimal effort, and you act like Christmas is just another Tuesday. Some of us actually enjoy making memories and creating magic for the family." My mother patted Lily's hand approvingly. "You do create such beautiful holiday experiences, honey." The unspoken comparison hung in the air, unlike Claire, who doesn't even try. I finished my meal in silence, nodding at appropriate moments, but internally seething. That night, I lay in bed replaying Lily's comments and my family's easy agreement. The Grinch. Was that really how they saw me? I'd never been against Christmas, just against the performative excess that seemed to define modern holiday celebrations. But somewhere between my practical approach and Lily's over-the-top productions, my family had decided I was the problem. The hurt transformed into something else as I stared at my ceiling: determination. Lily thought I couldn't get into the holiday spirit?
Fine.
I'd show her exactly what I was capable of when properly motivated. Not by copying her style of celebration, but by creating something so spectacular, so memorable, that nobody would ever question my holiday commitment again. I grabbed my laptop and started researching. If I was going to do this, I'd do it properly. No half measures, no simple potluck contributions. I was going to create a Christmas dinner so luxurious, so impossibly elegant, that Lily's cookie exchanges would look like kindergarten snack time by comparison. The plan formed quickly in my mind. Christmas Eve was 3 weeks away. That gave me enough time to plan, prepare, and pull off something extraordinary. I'd host dinner at my apartment, invite the whole family, and serve a meal they'd never forget. The next morning, I woke with renewed purpose and immediately began planning in earnest. My background in event planning for a corporate firm had taught me how to execute flawless experiences, skills I'd never applied to my personal life. Now seemed like the perfect time. I started with research, spending hours reviewing menus from Michelin-starred restaurants and luxury holiday experiences. I made lists of ingredients, sourced suppliers for premium items, and sketched out a timeline for preparation. The meal would need to be sophisticated but achievable, impressive without being pretentious. Over my morning coffee, I designed the menu. Foie gras with fig compote as an appetizer, followed by butter-poached lobster tails with saffron sauce, truffle mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables with herbes de Provence, and a chocolate soufflé for dessert. Champagne would flow throughout, and every detail would be perfect. The grocery budget I calculated made me wince slightly. This would cost more than I typically spend on food in 2 months. But the investment felt worth it, not just to prove Lily wrong, but to prove something to myself. I've been playing small for years, keeping my talents and capabilities hidden to avoid standing out or making others uncomfortable. That ended now. Shopping for ingredients became an adventure. I visited specialty food stores I'd never entered before, places with marble counters and staff who spoke knowledgeably about terroir and proper aging. The foie gras came from a French importer who treated each slice like precious art. The lobster tails were selected personally from a seafood market where the tanks held creatures larger than my cat. The truffles, tiny and expensive, were procured from a gourmet shop where the owner explained their provenance with the seriousness of a museum curator. Each purchase felt like a commitment to my plan, a step further from the practical Claire my family knew and toward someone more confident and bold. I bought gold-rimmed plates from a consignment shop, elegant white linens, and crystal champagne flutes that caught the light beautifully. My apartment would be transformed from its usual minimalist aesthetic into something that belonged in a luxury magazine. The preparation extended beyond food. I researched presentation techniques, watching videos from professional chefs about plating and timing. I practiced making soufflés 3 times, learning the precise temperature and technique required to achieve that perfect rise. Each trial run built my confidence and refined my skills. My coworker Denise noticed the change in me during our lunch break. "You seem different lately," she observed. "More energized." I didn't tell anyone about my plans, keeping them secret like a surprise party. When my mother called to discuss Christmas arrangements, assuming we'd all gather at her house as usual, I casually mentioned I'd like to host this year. "Oh, Claire, are you sure?" she asked, her tone suggesting doubt. "You don't usually go in for big holiday productions. I don't want you to stress yourself." "I'm certain," I replied firmly. "Christmas Eve at my place. 6 o'clock. I'll handle everything." My mother agreed, probably expecting sandwiches and store-bought cookies. She had no idea what was coming. Lily called next, her voice carrying that familiar condescension. "Mom told me you're hosting Christmas Eve. That's sweet, but I hope you're not planning anything too complicated. Remember, the holidays are about being together, not about impressing anyone." I bit back a sharp response. "It'll be fine. Just bring yourselves." She laughed. "Well, I'm bringing my famous gingerbread cookies anyway, just in case. You know how you get overwhelmed by cooking." After hanging up, I looked at my detailed preparation schedule and smiled. Overwhelmed. They had no idea what I was capable of when properly motivated. The week before Christmas, I began final preparations. I deep-cleaned my apartment until every surface gleamed. I arranged flowers, tested the lighting, and created a playlist of elegant instrumental holiday music. Christmas Eve morning arrived with crisp winter air and bright sunshine. I woke at 5 a.m., adrenaline already coursing through my veins. Today was the day I'd prove everyone wrong, but more importantly, prove something to myself. I'd been hiding my capabilities for too long, minimizing my talents to avoid making waves. The kitchen became my command center. I'd prepared a minute-by-minute schedule, accounting for cooking times, plating, and service. The foie gras needed to reach room temperature. The lobster tails required careful timing to achieve butter-poached perfection. The soufflés would be made last, time to emerge from the oven just as we finished the main course. By noon, my apartment smelled incredible. Herbs, butter, and the rich aroma of reduced wine filled the air. I transformed my dining area into something resembling a high-end restaurant, with candles, gold accents, and the crystal glassware catching afternoon light. The table setting alone looked like something from a design magazine. At 3 p.m., I began the intricate work of preparing each course. The foie gras was seared perfectly, the fig compote providing a sweet counterpoint to its richness. The lobster tails were butterflied and ready for their butter bath. The truffle-infused mashed potatoes waited in a warming drawer, their aroma subtle but undeniable. Everything was proceeding according to plan. My family arrived at 6 o'clock exactly, their voices carrying up the stairs as they approached my apartment. I heard Lily first, her laughter loud and confident. "I can't wait to see what Claire's put together. Probably ordering pizza any minute now." Their knocking interrupted her joke. I opened the door, wearing an elegant black dress, my hair styled, makeup perfect. Their expressions shifted immediately from casual amusement to confusion as they took in my appearance and the glimpse of my transformed apartment behind me. "Come in," I said warmly, stepping aside. They filed in slowly, their eyes widening as they absorbed what I'd created. The living room glowed with candlelight and tasteful decorations. Gold and silver accents caught the light everywhere. The dining table was set like something from a luxury magazine, each place setting perfect. "Claire, this is..." My mother trailed off, unable to find words. Marcus whistled low. "This is incredible. Did you hire someone?" Lily stood frozen near the entrance, her famous gingerbread cookies clutched in their plastic container, suddenly looking cheap and childish against the elegance surrounding her. I watched her process what she was seeing, satisfaction warming my chest. "Please sit." I gestured toward the dining room. "We'll start with champagne and appetizers." I poured champagne into the crystal flutes, the golden liquid catching the candlelight beautifully. The first course emerged from my kitchen with professional presentation. Delicate slices of seared foie gras arranged on individual plates, garnished with fig compote and microgreens, drizzled with aged balsamic reduction. I served each person carefully, watching their faces as they absorbed the reality of what I'd prepared. My father picked up his fork hesitantly, as if the food might disappear if he moved too quickly. The first bite brought an expression of pure surprise. "Claire, this is extraordinary," he said, genuine amazement in his voice. "Where did you order this from?" "I made it," I replied simply, returning to the kitchen for my own plate. Lily hadn't touched her food yet, still staring at the plate with an expression I couldn't quite read. Finally, she took a bite, and I watched her close her eyes as she processed the flavors. When she opened them, they were filled with something I'd never seen from her before: uncertainty. "This is restaurant quality," Marcus said between bites. "I had no idea you could cook like this." My mother kept glancing between her plate and me, as if trying to reconcile the daughter she thought she knew with the person who'd created this experience. "It's delicious, honey. I didn't know you had this in you." The comment should have felt complimentary, but it revealed everything. They'd underestimated me completely, assumed my practical nature meant lack of capability rather than choice. I cleared the appetizer plates and returned with the main course: butter-poached lobster tails glistening with saffron sauce, accompanied by truffle mashed potatoes that filled the room with their earthy aroma and roasted vegetables arranged like art. The presentation was flawless, each plate a masterpiece of color and composition. Silence fell over the table as everyone absorbed what I'd placed before them. Lily picked up her fork slowly, and I noticed her hand trembling slightly. The confident sister who'd mocked my lack of holiday spirit was confronting evidence that she'd been completely wrong about me. "The lobster is perfectly cooked," my father said, his voice carrying a note of disbelief. "Butter poached with saffron. This is the kind of dish you'd pay $100 for at a top restaurant." Marcus had abandoned all pretense of composure, eating with obvious enjoyment and making appreciative sounds. "Claire, seriously, where did you learn to cook like this? This is insane." "I've always known how," I said quietly. "I just never had a reason to show it." My mother understood the implication first, her eyes widening slightly. Lily continued eating in silence, her earlier swagger completely deflated. The famous gingerbread cookies still sat in their plastic container on the side table, forgotten and suddenly very inadequate looking compared to what I'd created. The truffle mashed potatoes drew particular attention, their rich, earthy flavor complementing the delicate sweetness of the lobster perfectly. I'd spent hours achieving the right consistency, smooth and creamy without being heavy, the truffle present but not overwhelming. "These potatoes," my mother said slowly, "are better than anything I've had at fancy restaurants. The truffle is so subtle and perfect." I smiled, accepting the compliment while internally celebrating this vindication. Every bite they took proved that I was capable of far more than they'd ever given me credit for. As we finished the main course, I retrieved champagne for a toast. Everyone raised their glasses, but Lily looked uncomfortable, clearly struggling with the situation. She built her identity around being the family's holiday expert, the one who created magic and memories. Now that foundation was crumbling. "To family," I said simply, touching my glass to theirs. "And to never underestimating what someone's capable of when they decide to try." My father nodded enthusiastically, not catching the subtle edge in my words. But Lily heard it, her eyes meeting mine with an expression that mixed embarrassment, respect, and something that might have been regret. My mother squeezed my hand after the toast. "This is the most beautiful Christmas Eve we've ever had. Thank you for doing this, Claire." Before dessert, I served the chocolate soufflés, pulling them from the oven at precisely the right moment. They rose dramatically, their tops perfectly golden, their centers molten and rich. The presentation was stunning, each soufflé in its individual ramekin, dusted with powdered sugar and accompanied by fresh whipped cream. The collective gasp when I placed them on the table was everything I'd hoped for. "These need to be eaten immediately while they're hot," I instructed, demonstrating by breaking into my own soufflé, releasing a cascade of liquid chocolate. The family followed suit, and the sounds of appreciation were universal. Marcus actually stood up slightly from his chair in his excitement. "This is the best dessert I've ever had. I'm serious. This beats every fancy restaurant dessert I've ever tasted." Lily ate her soufflé slowly, and when she finished, she set down her spoon with careful precision. "Can I talk to you in the kitchen?" she asked quietly. I nodded, following her away from the table. We stood facing each other in my small kitchen, the aftermath of my cooking spread across every surface. Lily looked at me for a long moment before speaking. "I was wrong," she said finally, the words clearly difficult. "About everything. About you not having holiday spirit, about you being the Grinch, about you not trying. This meal, this entire evening, is incredible. It's better than anything I've ever done." Lily's apology continued, words tumbling out like she'd been holding them back. "I've been unfair to you for years. I made assumptions about what holiday spirit looks like, and I decided you didn't have it because you didn't do things my way. But this, what you've created here, has more thought and care and genuine warmth than all my cookie exchanges combined." I leaned against the counter, processing her admission. The vindication felt good, but underneath it was something more complex. "You made me feel less than," I said quietly. "Every Christmas, every family gathering, you'd make little comments about my lack of effort, my practical approach. The whole family went along with it, treating me like I was deficient somehow." "I know," she whispered, "and I'm genuinely sorry. I think maybe I needed to feel superior, like I was the only one who knew how to celebrate properly. Your confidence in your own choices threatened that somehow." We stood in silence for a moment. "I forgive you," I said finally. "But things need to change. I won't be dismissed or underestimated anymore. Not by you, not by the family, not by anyone." Lily nodded, her eyes damp. "You shouldn't be. You're amazing, Claire." Tonight proved that beyond any doubt. We returned to the dining room together. The tension between us subtly shifted, our relationship on new ground. The evening wound down with coffee and more conversation, but everything felt different now. My family looked at me with new eyes, asking questions about my planning process, my cooking skills, and where I'd learned such sophisticated techniques. I explained about the event planning skills I used professionally, about researching and practicing, about deciding to apply those capabilities to my personal life. "You could do this professionally," Marcus suggested. "I'm serious. People would pay serious money for holiday experiences like this." The comment lodged in my brain, a seed planted. The next day, alone in my apartment and cleaning up the aftermath of the dinner, I let myself reflect on what had happened. I'd proven my point spectacularly. Lily's assumption had been shattered, my family's perception permanently altered. But more than that, I discovered something about myself. I'd spent years playing small, keeping my talents hidden, avoiding situations where I might outshine others or make them uncomfortable. That strategy had led to being underestimated and dismissed. The dinner had shown me what happened when I stopped hiding: recognition, respect, and genuine admiration. A week later, my friend Vanessa called with interesting news. "I was telling my friend about your Christmas dinner, and she's a food critic for the local magazine. She wants to interview you about creating luxury holiday experiences at home." The interview with the food critic, a sharp woman named Patricia, went surprisingly well. We met at a coffee shop, and I walked her through my process, my menu choices, and my philosophy about bringing restaurant-quality experiences home. Patricia listened intently, taking notes and asking insightful questions. "The market for this is huge," she said finally. "People want special holiday experiences but can't afford or don't have access to top restaurants. Someone who could create that in their homes? That's valuable." The seed Marcus had planted began sprouting into an actual idea. Could I do this professionally? turn my newfound confidence and demonstrated skills into a business? The article ran 2 weeks later, titled "Local Event Planner Creates Michelin Quality Christmas at Home." Patricia had written glowingly about my dinner, including photos I'd taken of the food and setup. She'd ended with a call to action. If Claire offered this as a service, I'd be first in line to book. My phone started ringing the day the article published. Friends, acquaintances, even strangers who'd gotten my number from mutual connections, all asking the same question. Could I do something similar for them? Could I plan and execute a luxury holiday dinner in their homes? I found myself saying yes, almost without thinking. Within a week, I had 5 bookings for New Year's Eve dinners, each paying more than I'd expected. The business grew organically from those first 5 dinners. Each successful event led to referrals, and by February, I was fielding inquiries for Valentine's Day, Easter, and even early requests for next Christmas. I created a business plan during evenings and weekends, researching licensing requirements, building a website, and developing different menu packages at various price points. Lily called one evening, her voice carrying genuine excitement rather than her old condescension. "Claire, I saw your website. This is amazing. You're really doing this?" "I am," I confirmed. "It started as proving a point, but it's become something real. People want the service, and I'm good at providing it." "You're better than good," she said warmly. "You're exceptional. I'm telling everyone I know about your business. I'm so proud of you." The shift in our relationship had held. Lily had become genuinely supportive, her earlier competitiveness replaced by what seemed like authentic happiness for my success. My day job became increasingly difficult to focus on. Planning corporate events still paid the bills, but my heart was in the luxury home dining experiences. Every spare moment went into building my side business, refining menus, and improving my systems. By March, I'd saved enough and had enough bookings to consider a leap I'd never imagined, quitting my corporate job to focus on my business full-time. The decision terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. The opportunity that solidified my decision came from an unexpected source. A local morning show producer reached out, having read Patricia's article and seen my growing online presence. They wanted me to demonstrate a luxury holiday meal preparation on live television. The morning of the broadcast, I arrived at the studio with ingredients, equipment, and enough adrenaline to power a small city. The hosts were warm and professional, making me feel comfortable despite the cameras and bright lights. "So, Claire, you turned a family Christmas dinner into a full business," the female host said, smiling broadly. "Tell us how that happened." I explained about Lily's comment, my decision to prove everyone wrong, and how that one dinner had revealed capabilities I'd been hiding for years. The audience responded enthusiastically, many nodding as if they recognized their own experiences in my story. The cooking demonstration went flawlessly. I prepared a simplified version of my signature lobster dish, explaining techniques and answering questions. The hosts tasted the finished product on camera, their reactions genuine and enthusiastic. "This is restaurant quality," the male host said, looking directly into the camera. "If you want this kind of experience in your home, you need to book Claire immediately." The response was immediate and overwhelming. By the time I left the studio, my phone was buzzing constantly with new inquiries, booking requests, and messages from people inspired by my story. The media appearance changed everything. Within days, I'd received an offer from an upscale event planning company wanting to partner on exclusive holiday packages. They'd provide the client base and marketing support. I'd provide the culinary expertise and execution. The partnership would allow me to scale beyond what I could achieve alone. I met with the company's founder, a sophisticated woman named Catherine who'd built her business from scratch 15 years earlier. We connected immediately, both understanding the challenges and rewards of creating luxury experiences. "Your authenticity is what makes this work," Catherine explained. "You're not pretending to be something you're not. You're applying real skills and genuine passion to create meaningful experiences. That resonates with people." We signed the partnership agreement in April, and suddenly my little side business had serious infrastructure, professional marketing, liability insurance, a booking system, and access to Catherine's network of wealthy clients. I quit my corporate job that same week, taking the leap into full entrepreneurship. My family's reaction was mixed. My parents were supportive but worried about financial stability. Marcus was enthusiastic, treating me like a celebrity entrepreneur. Lily's response was the most meaningful. "I'm so glad I was wrong about you," she said during a coffee date. "And I'm grateful my stupid comment pushed you to discover this about yourself. You're inspiring, Claire." Genuinely. The first year of full-time business was intense. I worked harder than I ever had in corporate life, but with a satisfaction that made every difficult moment worthwhile. Catherine's partnership brought high-end clients expecting perfection, and I delivered consistently. Reviews and word of mouth created a waiting list for my services. By November, I was fully booked through the holidays, with more requests than I could possibly fulfill. I hired 2 assistants to help with preparation and service, teaching them my techniques and standards. Watching them grow under my mentorship added another layer of fulfillment. My family's perception of me had transformed completely. At family gatherings, people asked for business advice, wanted to know about my success, treated me with respect I'd never received before. Lily had become one of my biggest promoters, recommending my services to her extensive network and genuinely celebrating each milestone. "Remember when I said you'd never get into the holiday spirit?" she asked one evening, laughing at herself. "I was so wrong. You didn't just get into it. You built an entire business around creating it for others." The irony wasn't lost on me. By refusing to conform to Lily's definition of holiday spirit, I'd created something far more meaningful, a career helping others celebrate in ways that mattered to them. As the second holiday season approached, the pressure intensified. I had commitments to over 30 clients throughout December, each expecting the luxury experience I'd become known for. The scheduling required military precision, and the physical demands were enormous. Some nights, I barely slept, moving from one client's home to another, orchestrating multiple events simultaneously. The stress tested my limits, and I found myself questioning whether I'd taken on too much. A particularly difficult week in mid-December brought me to a breaking point. One client had last-minute dietary restrictions I needed to accommodate. Another's oven malfunctioned mid-preparation, requiring creative problem-solving. A third was demanding and critical, questioning every choice I made. I sat in my car after that final difficult event, exhausted and doubting everything. Had I expanded too quickly? Was this sustainable? Maybe I should scale back, focus on fewer clients, protect my well-being rather than chasing success. My phone rang. It was Lily. "Hey, I just wanted to check in. Catherine mentioned you've been working crazy hours. You doing okay?" I admitted my doubts, my exhaustion, my fear that I'd overextended myself. Lily listened without interrupting, then spoke with surprising wisdom. "Remember why you started this. Not to prove me wrong, but to prove something to yourself. That you were capable of more than people gave you credit for. You've proven that beyond any doubt. Now you need to prove you can succeed on your terms, which might mean setting better boundaries." Lily's advice resonated deeply. I spent the next day restructuring my approach, delegating more to my assistants, raising my prices to reflect my value and limit volume, and implementing systems that would make the work sustainable rather than destructive. The changes worked. By focusing on quality over quantity, setting clear boundaries, and trusting my team, I found a rhythm that felt manageable. The holiday events I orchestrated were still spectacular, but I wasn't sacrificing my health and sanity to deliver them. Christmas Eve arrived, 1 year after the dinner that had started everything. This time, instead of hosting my family, I was working, creating a luxury experience for a wealthy family in their hilltop estate. But I'd scheduled the evening carefully to finish by 8 p.m., allowing me to join my own family for a late dessert gathering at my parents' house. When I arrived at my family's home, still in my professional blacks but carrying a simple bakery cake, Lily greeted me at the door with a tight hug. "We're so proud of you," she whispered. "Thank you for making time for us even with your crazy schedule." The evening was relaxed, filled with genuine warmth and connection. My family asked about my work, my future plans, my goals for the coming year. They treated my business as important and my time as valuable, a far cry from the dismissive attitudes of previous years. The breakthrough came in January when a national lifestyle magazine contacted me about featuring my business in their spring issue. The spread would be 6 pages, with professional photography, an interview, and profiles of clients I'd served. The exposure would be enormous, potentially attracting clients nationwide. The photo shoot took place in February, with the magazine hiring models to play families while I prepared food and created tablescapes. Watching professionals capture what I'd built felt surreal, like my private journey had become public validation. The article ran in April, titled From Family Grinch to Holiday Guru: How One Woman Built a Business on Proving People Wrong. The journalist had interviewed Lily, who'd spoken honestly about her initial dismissiveness and her amazement at what I'd achieved. "I underestimated my sister completely," Lily was quoted as saying. "She's shown me that success isn't about fitting into someone else's definition, but about having the courage to create your own path." The response was overwhelming. Inquiries came from across the country, media outlets requested interviews, and my website crashed from traffic. I hired a publicist to manage the attention and a business manager to help scale strategically. What had started as proving a point to my sister had become a nationally recognized business, all within 18 months. The success brought opportunities I'd never imagined. A publisher reached out about writing a cookbook focused on creating restaurant-quality holiday meals at home. A streaming service wanted to develop a show around my business. Corporate brands approached about partnerships and endorsements. Each opportunity required careful consideration. I wanted to grow without losing the authenticity that had made my business resonate with people in the first place. Throughout all of it, Lily remained supportive, celebrating each milestone without the jealousy I might have expected. Our relationship had transformed completely, built now on mutual respect and genuine affection rather than competition and comparison. One evening, she brought up the comment that had started everything. "Do you remember what I said? About you never getting into the holiday spirit?" I nodded. "I've actually been meaning to thank you for that," I said, surprising her. It was hurtful, but it was also the catalyst for everything good that's happened since. "You pushed me to prove something to myself that I might never have discovered otherwise." Lily's eyes filled with tears. I was such a terrible sister. So judgmental and small-minded. But you turned my cruelty into something beautiful. That says everything about who you are. We hugged, both of us understanding that sometimes our greatest transformations come from our deepest hurts. By the 2nd anniversary of that fateful Christmas dinner, I'd achieved success beyond anything I'd imagined during those first desperate weeks of planning. My business was thriving. I'd published a best-selling cookbook, and I was in negotiations for the television show. But more importantly, I'd transformed personally in ways that had nothing to do with external validation. I'd learned to value my own capabilities, to stop hiding my talents to make others comfortable, to pursue what I wanted without waiting for permission. The practical, quiet Claire who'd been dismissed as the family Grinch had discovered she was actually bold, creative, and extraordinarily capable. My parents hosted a celebration dinner to mark the anniversary, and the contrast to that first dinner couldn't have been sharper. Then, I'd been mocked for lacking holiday spirit. Now, I was celebrated as someone who'd built a career around creating it for others. "I want to make a toast," my father said, raising his glass. "To Claire, who taught us all that we should never underestimate anyone, especially those who choose to live differently than we expect. Your success is inspiring, but more inspiring is the grace you've shown in achieving it." I looked around the table at my family, all of them beaming at me with genuine pride and respect. Lily caught my eye and mouthed "thank you," and I understood she wasn't just thanking me for forgiving her but for showing her a different way of being. The television show premiered in October, timed perfectly for the holiday season. Each episode featured me working with a different family, creating custom luxury experiences in their homes. The show highlighted not just the cooking but the emotional connections and memories being created. Ratings exceeded expectations, and the network ordered a second season before the first had finished airing. Watching myself on television felt strange and wonderful. The camera captured not just my technical skills, but the confidence and joy I developed over 2 years of building this business and this new version of myself. One episode featured Lily as a guest, and we demonstrated how to create an elegant yet approachable holiday dessert together. Our easy banter and obvious affection showed how far we'd come from that dinner where she dismissed my capabilities. "My sister proved me spectacularly wrong," Lily said on camera, "and I'm grateful every day that she did. She's shown our entire family what's possible when you stop accepting other people's limitations and start defining success on your own terms." The episode became the season's most watched, with viewers responding to our genuine relationship and the redemption arc it represented. Social media filled with comments from people sharing their own stories of being underestimated by family members and finding ways to prove their worth. As the holiday season approached for the third time since that transformative Christmas dinner, I found myself reflecting on the journey. From hurt and dismissed to successful and respected, from hiding my capabilities to celebrating them publicly, from seeking approval to defining my own worth. The business continued growing, but I'd learned to grow it sustainably, maintaining the boundaries and self-care that kept me healthy and passionate. I'd hired a full team, including a general manager who handled operations, so I could focus on creative development and the television show. Lily and I had coffee on the anniversary of her original comment. "Do you ever regret that I said what I said?" she asked. Like, "Do you wish you discovered all this about yourself in a less painful way?" I considered the question carefully. Honestly, I'm grateful for how it happened. The hurt pushed me harder than gentle encouragement ever would have. I needed to prove something to myself, and your comment gave me the motivation to try. Plus, watching you grow and change has been beautiful. You're not the same person who made that comment. "Neither are you," she replied, smiling. "You're the person you were always capable of being. You just needed a reason to show it." We raised our coffee cups in a toast, two sisters who'd found genuine understanding through unexpected circumstances. The girl who'd been called the family Grinch had created a business celebrating exactly what she'd been accused of lacking. And in doing so, she'd proven that the only opinion that truly mattered was her own belief in what she could achieve.